Below is the full rewritten voiceover script. 1,400 to 1,700 words. Original names. Original setting. Original details told in a natural American storytelling voice. No downline formatting, no heavy periods, smooth emotional rhythm, cinematic, intimate with a strong hook, turning point, satisfying victory, and a controversial ending to drive comments. Script 1550 words. You ever have one of those moments when the whole room decides who you are before you even open your mouth? Yeah. That was the night everything changed for me and my little brother at Gate 19 of Redwood City International. 2 teenagers, 2 first-class tickets, 1 exhausted gate agent who looked at us like we'd just walked in holding a pair of stolen diamonds. And trust me, we felt every stare, every whisper, every judgment hanging in the air like humidity. It started simple enough. We were flying across the country for a summer leadership program. Nothing fancy, just something we'd worked our butts off to get into. I was 18, my brother was 17, and we'd saved money for months, scholarships had helped, and our aunt chipped in the rest. So, yeah, first class was a splurge, but it was our reward, you know? Our chance to finally feel like all that hard work meant something. But the moment we walked up to the gate, it was like we had neon signs over our heads saying, "Does not belong here." The gate agent, Ms. Springer, short blonde hair, red lipstick, the kind of smile that doesn't really smile, narrowed her eyes at our tickets like they were written in crayon. "Where exactly did you get these?" she asked. No greeting, no welcome aboard, just suspicion dripping from every syllable. I laughed at first because I thought she was joking. "We bought them," I said, still smiling, still giving her the benefit of the doubt because that's how we were raised. Never assume the worst. But she leaned closer, squinted, and said, "No, I mean, how did you afford them?" And you know that moment when your stomach drops and you realize the conversation just took a turn it can't come back from? Yeah, that happened. My brother shifted beside me trying to stay calm, but his jaw tightened. "Our aunt booked them," he said, steady but strained. Ms. Springer sighed the way adults do when they're pretending to be patient. "I'm going to need to verify this with my supervisor," she said loudly, loud enough for every passenger nearby to pause what they were doing and stare. Something about the way she emphasized verify made it sound like we'd committed a federal crime. Now, here's the thing. When people assume you're lying before you even get a chance to explain it, burns. And when they do it in public with a whole audience watching, it doesn't just burn, it humiliates you. But it didn't stop there. A businessman in a navy suit shook his head at us like he'd just watched someone cheat on a math test. A woman behind him whispered not quietly at all, "Kids these days will do anything for attention." Another guy leaned to his wife and murmured, "Probably fake credit cards." My brother pulled out our confirmation emails, the seats, the payment receipts, everything. He held them out like evidence. But Ms. Springer barely glanced at the screen. "Anyone can Photoshop those," she said. That's when something inside me snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet click like a lock turning. I wasn't going to beg to be treated like a human being, not tonight. So I did the one thing she wasn't expecting. I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and hit record. Not to blast anyone, not to start drama, but because I'd learned the hard way what happens when you don't document these moments. People rewrite the narrative, twist the truth, pretend it didn't happen. The second she saw me recording, Ms. Springer stiffened. "You can't film here," she snapped. "Actually, I can," I replied calmly. "This is a public terminal." The businessman scoffed and muttered, "Here we go." And just like that, the temperature of the room shifted again. People love a spectacle, and suddenly the 2 kids with the suspicious tickets became the center of gravity. Phones came out, eyes locked on us, the tension built slow and suffocating. Then her supervisor showed up, Mr. Blake, tall, balding, with the kind of forced smile you'd see on a politician trying to calm a riot. He took one look at us and said, "Let's step aside." Not a question, a command. We stepped aside. Because what else do you do when you're a kid surrounded by grown-ups who already decided they don't trust you? But we weren't quiet. My brother looked him straight in the eye and said, "Sir, we bought our tickets legally. We haven't done anything wrong." Mr. Blake nodded without really listening. "That's what we're trying to determine," he said, again loud enough for everyone to hear, loud enough to paint us as suspects. And here's where the twist starts brewing. Because while he and Ms. Springer whispered and typed and pretended to investigate, my video started gaining traction. People online were already commenting things like, "This looks shady. Why are they being singled out?" And my personal favorite, "Not again." By the time airport security arrived, security because apparently 2 teenagers with valid tickets are that threatening, the video had hit a few thousand views. Not huge, but enough for people to start paying attention. Enough for someone online to recognize the logo on my backpack from the leadership program sponsoring our trip. Enough for that same person to tag the program. And within minutes, everything changed. My phone buzzed nonstop. The program director called, then our aunt, then a reporter who just said, "Is this you at Gate 19? Security approached slowly, like they weren't exactly sure what they were supposed to be responding to. One of them, Officer Quinn, looked at us, looked at the supervisor, and then said, "What's the issue here? They have the right documents." Mr. Blake didn't answer directly. Instead, he pointed at us and said, "We're verifying identity and financial legitimacy." Financial legitimacy. He really said that out loud. To 2 minors, in public. My brother laughed one of those bitter laughs that doesn't sound human. "Financial legitimacy," he repeated. "We bought 2 plane tickets, not a yacht." More phones came up, more recording. The crowd murmured. Ms. Springer's face went pale, and then the moment that flipped the whole thing upside down. The director of our summer program herself called the airport. Not customer service, not the general line. She called airport administration directly. She wasn't just an academic or a sponsor. She was a member of the state education board, someone with actual pull. Within 5 minutes, an airport manager in a navy blazer was rushing toward us out of breath, apologizing before he even reached our side. "I'm so sorry," he said. "There's been a terrible misunderstanding." Mr. Blake looked like someone unplugged his soul. Ms. Springer suddenly found something fascinating on the floor. The manager asked for our tickets, scanned them with his tablet, and said, "They're valid. Everything is in order. They were valid from the start." You ever watch someone realize they messed up so badly, there's no way to fix it? That's what Ms. Springer's face looked like. Not just embarrassment, fear. Fear of consequences. Fear of being exposed. And trust me, exposure was coming. The video had hit 50,000 views. Then 100,000. Comments started rolling in about profiling, discrimination, abuse of authority. Reporters started asking for statements. The airport manager pulled us aside, apologized again, and said, "We will be addressing this immediately." But I wasn't satisfied. Not yet. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted acknowledgement. Real acknowledgement, not a rushed apology. So I looked right at Ms. Springer and asked, "Why didn't you believe us? Why was your first instinct to assume we were lying?" She opened her mouth closed. It opened it again. I made a misjudgment," she said. "A misjudgment," I repeated. "That's what you call it." And I could feel the whole gate listening. What happened afterwards spread faster than the video. The airline launched an internal review. Mandatory training was required for the entire staff. Policies were rewritten to eliminate the kind of discretion that had allowed this to happen. But the real win, the unexpected, sweeter-than-sweet win. A month later, we got invited to speak at a youth equity summit about what happened. Not as victims, but as advocates, as voices. My brother said it best on stage. "They thought they were questioning our tickets," he said. "They were really questioning our worth." And the room went quiet in that heavy, meaningful way. Now, here's where it gets messy. Some people said we overreacted. Some said the staff were just doing their jobs. Some said kids shouldn't fly first class at all. And some insisted there was no discrimination, just an unlucky misunderstanding. So let me throw this back to you. Do you think what happened to us was a mistake, or was it bias hiding behind policy? If you saw this at an airport, would you step in or stay quiet? And have you ever been judged before people even knew your name? Drop your thoughts below. This is one of those stories that sparks real debate. And if you want more stories that hit the heart and make you think twice about the world we live in, go ahead and subscribe because, trust me, this is just the beginning.